Right he is, said Carlson. He don't give nobody else a chance to win. He stopped and sniffed the air, and still sniffing, looked down at the old dog. God almighty, that dog stinks. Get him out of here, Candy. I don't know nothing that stinks as bad as an old dog. You got to get him out. Candy rolled to the edge of his bunk. He reached over and patted the ancient dog, and he apologized. Now, I've been around him so much I never notice how he stinks. Well, I can't stand him in here, said Carlson. That stink hangs around even after he's gone. He walked over with his heavy-legged stride and looked down at the dog. Got no teeth, he said. He's all stiff with rheumatism. He ain't no good to you, Candy, and he ain't no good to himself. Why don't you shoot him, Candy? The old man squirmed uncomfortably. Well, hell, I had him so long. Had him since he's a pup. I herded sheep with him, he said proudly. He wasn't thinking to look at him now, but he is the best damn sheepdog I ever seen. George said, I seen a guy in Weed that had an Airedale could herd sheep. Learned it from the other dogs. Carlson wasn't to be put off. Look, Candy, this old dog just suffers himself all the time. If you used to take him out and shoot him right in the back of the head, he leaned over and pointed right there, why, he'd never even know what hit him. Candy looked about unhappily. No, he said softly. No, I couldn't do that. I had him too long. He don't have no fun, Carlson insisted, and he stinks to beat hell. Tell you what, I'll shoot him for you. Then it won't be you that does it. Candy threw his legs off his bunk. He scratched the white stubble whiskers on his cheek nervously. I'm so used to him, he said softly. I had him from a pup. Well, you ain't been kind to him, keeping him alive, said Carlson. Look, Slim's bitch got a litter right now. I bet Slim would give you one of them pups to raise up, wouldn't you, Slim? The Skinner had been studying the old dog with his calm eyes. Yeah, he said, you can have a pup if you want to. He seemed to shake himself free for speech. Carl's right, Candy. That dog ain't no good to himself. I wish somebody'd shoot me if I got old and a cripple. Candy looked helplessly at him, for Slim's opinions were law. Maybe it'd hurt him, he suggested. But I don't mind taking care of him. Carlson said, the way I'd shoot him, he wouldn't feel nothing. I'd put the gun right there. He pointed with his toe, right back of the head. It wouldn't even quiver. Candy looked for help from face to face. It was quite dark outside by now. A young laboring man came in. His sloping shoulders were bent forward, and he walked heavily on his heels as though he carried the invisible grain bag. He went to his bunk and put his hat on his shelf. Then he picked a pulp magazine from his shelf and brought it to the light over the table. Did I show you this, Slim? He asked.
Okay, you can answer not questions 9 through 12 now. What sneaky thing does Lenny try to do? What does he try to bring into the bunkhouse that he's not supposed to? What game has the other guys been playing while George and Slim talk? You could hear the sound of them throwing something outside of the bunkhouse. What is Carlson's problem and what does he tell Candy to do, which is related to question number 12. What reason does Carlson give for wanting Candy's dog shot? Go ahead and answer those questions and then turn the presentation back on.
Show me what? The young man turned to the back of the magazine, put it down on the table, and pointed with his finger. Right there, read that. Slim bent over it. Come on, said the young man, read it out loud. Dear Editor, Slim read slowly. I read your mag for 6 years, and I think it is the best on the market. I like stories by Peter Rand. I think he is a wingding. Give us more like The Dark Rider. I don't write many letters. Just thought I would tell you I think your mag is the best dime's worth I ever spent. Slim looked up questioningly. What you want me to read that for? Whit said, Go on. Read the name at the bottom. Slim read, Yours for Success, William Tenner. He glanced up at Whit again. What do you want me to read that for? Whit closed the magazine impressively. Don't you remember Bill Tenner? Worked here about 3 months ago? Slim thought. The little guy? He asked. Drove a cultivator? That's him, Whit cried. That's the guy. You think he's the guy who wrote this letter? I know it. Bill and me was in here one day. Bill had one of them books that just come. He was looking in it, and he says, I wrote a letter. Wonder if they put it in the book. But it wasn't there. Bill says, maybe they're saving it for later, and that's just what they've done. There it is. Guess you're right, said Slim. Got it right in the book. George held out his hand for the magazine. Let's look at it. Whit found the place again, but he didn't surrender his hold on it. He pointed out the letter with his forefinger, and then he went to his box shelf and laid the magazine carefully in. I wonder if Bill's seen it, he said. Bill and me worked in that patch of field peas. Run cultivators, both of us. Bill was a hell of a nice fellow. During the conversation, Carlson had refused to be drawn in. He continued to look down at the old dog. Candy watched him uneasily. At last, Carlson said, If you want me to, I'll put the old devil out of his misery right now and get it over with. Ain't nothing left for him. Can't eat, can't see, can't even walk without hurting. Candy said hopefully, You ain't got no gun. Hell, I ain't. Got a Luger. Won't hurt him none at all. Candy said, Maybe tomorrow. Let's wait till tomorrow. I don't see no reason for it, said Carlson. He went to his bunk, pulled his bag from underneath it, and took out a Luger pistol. Let's get it over with, he said. We can't sleep with him stinking around in here. He put the pistol in his hip pocket. Candy looked a long time at Slim to try to find some reversal, and Slim gave him none. At last, Candy said softly and hopelessly, All right, take him. He didn't look down at the dog at all. He lay back on his bunk and crossed his arms behind his head and stared at the ceiling. From his pocket, Carlson took a little leather thong. He stooped over and tied it around the old dog's neck. All the men except Candy watched him. Come on, boy. Come on, boy, he said gently. And he said apologetically to Candy, He won't even feel it. Candy didn't move nor answer him. He twitched the thong. Come on, boy. The old dog got slowly and stiffly to his feet and followed the gently pulling leash. Slim said, Carlson? Yeah? You know what to do. What do you mean, Slim? Take a shovel, said Slim shortly. Oh, sure, I get you. He led the dog out into the darkness. George followed to the door and shut the door and set the latch gently in its place. Candy lay rigidly on his bed, staring at the ceiling. Slim said loudly, "One of my lead mules got a bad hoof. Gotta get some tar on it." His voice trailed off. It was silent outside. Carlson's footsteps died away. The silence came into the room, and the silence lasted. George chuckled. "I bet Lenny's right out there in the barn with his pup. He won't want to come in here no more now he's got a pup." Slim said, "Candy, you can have any one of them pups you want." Candy didn't answer. The silence fell on the room again. It came out of the night and invaded the room. George said, "Anybody like to play a little euchre?" "I'll play out a few with you," said Whit. They took places opposite each other at the table under the light, but George didn't shuffle.
Okay, so you can answer the next couple questions. What does Whit show Slim? And what does Carlson say that he has to take care of his problem? And what does Slim tell Carlson to take with him when he goes to shoot poor Candy's dog? And why? Now, this is the end of part A of chapter 3. This is the second part of it. So you finish the questions and turn them in, and you will be finishing this chapter on Thursday. I think you're going to be taking a quiz on Wednesday on chapter 2.